the band name, Pulse of Nebulae, is derived from a nebula, which in plural form would be a nebulae, which is the kindergarten or the birthplace of stars. Our sun, being a star, is definitely the source of all life and everything we know. Without it, none of what we have would exist. And the pulse in the title would be the indicator of something being alive, something like for all animal beings, you know, you check the pulse to see if it's alive or not, and therefore the pulse of nebulae would be the indicator of life for the source of all life.
The reason we play progressive death metal is, well, the death metal factor comes because of, you know, the music primarily is heavy and it has extreme vocals, growling, screeching, screaming, banshee shrieking, everything. And, well, the reason we choose to play progressive music is mostly because we like so many different genres of music, so much different styles of music. It's extremely difficult to combine all of that into a singular sound without straying from a standardized path of music. And I don't really believe in playing an album that sounds the same all the way through. Like many artists believe in writing a single type of song and sticking to a formula and going all the way through. I believe in trying to make music progressive, trying to make it varied, be emotional, take you on a journey.
Progressive music in general is not a type of music which you listen to due to or resulting in a mood that you're in. Like people who are angry would listen to something more brutal, people who are sad would listen to more doomy, depressing music. Progressive music is a type of music which it is the one which influences you. Progressive music has always ups and downs, and that, in my opinion, is something which is very important to take the listeners on a journey. Well, I do not have any professional experience with these topics. I'm not a philosopher, I'm not an astronomer, but growing up in a family which does enjoy these topics, I used to spend a lot of time with my father and other family members watching documentaries about astronomy, and I would also go into many topics of philosophy describing the human race and why they do the things they do, and I always try to find a parallel in the macro system to relate them to each other with astronomy and also the philosophical part of life and things which we always experience.
As Ziltoid the Omniscient said, I am a nerd. So I completely went along with this theme because, you know, I've been a sci-fi fanatic for nearly my entire life. My parents raised me with that, and I think originally when we started out we wanted to go with some cosmic theme, and it kind of resulted in us spending time and thinking about different lyrical topics and themes and exploring space.
I would also have to say that one of the main things which influenced me in writing this music was Atheist's album Jupiter. After the single for that album, Second to Sun, came out and I read the lyrics to that music, it inspired me to use that as lyrical inspiration. Well, I am a full-time architecture student living in the south of Germany, and Martin works in Riga, in Latvia, which is obviously a huge obstacle, seeing how we can't meet up on the spur of a moment and rehearse and write music in person, that is definitely an obstacle. We try to overcome this obstacle by using modern technology like different programs like Skype and just other things, all different social networks where we try to record our own personal idea of what we want to implement into our music, and we send it to each other and discuss it then using the internet. And
normally it would all start with me sitting in my room just playing random riffs, random leads, ideas on my guitar, I would make a quick video of the concept or idea I just came up with, send it to Hisham, ask him what he thinks about it. Usually, most of the time, he likes it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of nice. So I don't have to sit there and try to please you. But I would sit down, write a few riffs, come up with like a very basic structure, maybe something like a verse and a chorus or something like that. Record them, program some drums, send them over to Hisham.
We discussed that.
He would come up with some basic vocal ideas, sit down, write lyrics for it. The songs usually go through an incredibly extensive
Back and forth.
Yes, obviously back and forth, but some of the songs we have written have been hacked to pieces.
Yeah.
The final version you hear on the album is something that sounded absolutely nothing like the original in the demos, and quite often, I think might have happened, I think, to at least 3 songs that were originally one song and it became 3 songs on the album, because I just felt like I implemented this writing technique. If you take a riff and remove it from the song and you don't notice the riff being gone, that riff doesn't have a place in the song, so it was put aside to be used somewhere else. That's possibly one of the reasons why so many songs have a very similar sound, because they were developed originally as one. The transition of taking the songs from being recorded in my home studio is, well, since it's been 9.5 years since the last time I performed live on stage, it was definitely quite a big challenge for me to actually figure out a way how to make the music work live, because a lot of the songs are very layered and there's a lot of different elements that cannot be performed live, just because I would need at least 4 guitarists to have it sound the same way it does on the album. Unfortunately, that's not really an option, or it could be, but I just don't think it's a very feasible option.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of things are going to sound different live than they do on the actual album version, so they had to be adjusted for live playing. And yes, finding musicians to work with us live has also been, luckily, a very painless challenge, but still finding a drummer has absolutely got to be the most difficult task I've ever endured. But on the bright side, I have to say that I have become a lot more confident in my guitar playing, and I don't really feel very, I don't feel the same kind of nervousness when I'm performing live as I would when I was 16, 17, back when I used to actually perform live on a regular basis. This is Dylan Humphrey's absolute masterpiece guitar from Demoness Guitars. It's an absolute masterpiece. I love this thing to bits. It's completely made to 100% my specifications, with an alder body, maple neck, Zeracot fretboard, and it's a very simple guitar, really. Obviously, the artwork is definitely the defining piece of this guitar. And Dylan also seems to be very happy with his work, so that's a win-win situation for both of us. The name Dylan came up for it is the zombie brain theory. So yeah, there's an Evertune bridge in this, which helps me stay in perfect tune no matter how bad I play, and it has 2 bare knuckle Holy Diver pickups in it. And the neck is quite a bit thicker than most shred guitars one would play. It's something more like a Gibson 60s profile neck, which I feel like really adds to the weight of the tone of the guitar. And Dylan is an absolute master. He writes all of his specifications out by hand in awesome calligraphy, and sends thank you notes to his clients, all with medieval style stamps. And if you want to look at, obviously, you can see the best resolution and quality pictures of this guitar on Demoness Guitars website. I highly recommend anyone not hesitate and order a guitar from Dylan. He's an absolute master, a gentleman to work with, and all-around awesome guy. Thanks, Dylan. Mm-hmm.
That's a good question.
I think this was probably the easiest question for me to answer, because I think the transporter beams in Star Trek, when you say beam me up, Scotty, I would be able to go visit anybody.
Yeah, and then we could have actual rehearsals.
We could have real rehearsals, we could get together anytime we want to, like, hey, I'm bored, what's up, let's go play some games, okay.
Galaxy Quest, not those type of transporter beams, it turns you inside out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably the wrong choice. Food. In
Fifth Element.
In the Fifth Element, you just put something into like this weird microwave thingy, and
Just
then
put some powder in a bowl.
yeah, and then it just turns into like a burger with fries. And I'm a big eater. I love to eat. That's something which I would definitely choose for myself.
So transporter beams for me,
And
that
food.
preferably don't turn you inside out. And in your case, instant food powder.
Instant food powder. Well, this coming weekend we're going to be playing in Latvia. We'll be playing 2 shows on the 17th and 18th of September. The first show will be in Jelgava, which I think you should all come down to. I think it will be a fun gig. And the second will be in our hometown, Riga, where we'll be playing in Nava Club. And I think that is something also to look forward to.
Yeah. Keep in mind that the show in Jelgava is free of charge. So come on by, get some drinks, watch us perform, have a good time. Feel free to come and stalk with us anytime. The show in Riga also has 2 other bands, North Band and Darva. When we're in terms of long-term plans for the band, we're planning on arranging either another tour around next summer and hopefully playing some festivals around Europe. We're kind of living on a tight and complicated schedule, since I have a full-time job and Hisham is
Student.
finishing up his studies around that time.
Mhm.
So it's very difficult to predict our actual availability during that time period. But we're still going to use our time to the best we can and actually go and do as much as we can.
We're trying to organize a show in the Middle East, in Dubai. We're also trying to, we might think of playing some gigs in Karlsruhe in Germany. And in general, we're going to be sending it to almost every festival, sending our stuff to every festival we know. In particular, Brutal Assault and Euroblast. And we'll hope that next summer we'll be able to perform in those festivals. And then after that, it goes straight back to writing and composing.
Well, actually, the writing process is probably going to start right after this tour. I'm probably thinking in October I'm going to resume writing. Luckily, I still have leftover ideas from the first album. And I think hopefully this time it's not going to take 3.5 years for us to finish another album, but I think good stuff is coming. What is your favorite food? Leave a comment below the video.
What's your favorite food? What's your favorite sci-fi show?
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
It's funny, I came up with the food question, you came up with the sci-fi question.
Yeah. Yeah, just come down, enjoy the show, and it'll be the first time experience for sure watching a metal band play without a drummer, and it's really something exciting to see.
There can only be one Dirk.
There can only be one Dirk.
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
You should have said it in Klingon.
I don't know how to pronounce it. Have you seen it?
No.
It's like unpronounceable.